Hey, welcome back. This is a Military Illumination. I'm your host, Gary. And today, what we're going to be talking about is medical, dental, and life insurance benefits. This podcast is mainly for high school students who are considering a military career or who's being harassed by the recruiters, or just in general, high school seniors who's looking to figure out what their future looks like. And a lot of times, they run into a military recruiter and it's game over. It's also for people who know someone, a high school student or a student, or even their family or friends, but also for people who just want to know the truth about the military. Maybe the person is, if you're currently in the military, you're not quite sure what you got yourself into, or things are happening to you, you're thinking that it's isolated to you. This is a podcast is for you as well. It's just going to illuminate the things, the issues, and the problems within the military that are not being addressed by the recruiters or the military or our government, either directly or indirectly, so that a person who's considering their options for future employment and they're considering military will have all of the facts in order to make an informed decision. Because I believe that if you make a decision based on all of the facts, good and bad, then the decision you're making is going to basically align with what you're trying to achieve, and it's going to be a more successful move for you, like a better term. So today we're going to turn the lights on the benefits of medical and dental and life insurance as the military. So we're just going to take it apart. We're going to show you what it's about, what you can expect, and what it's not. It has to do also with, I should say, with military retirement as well. Because this whole segment, last couple of episodes is about military retirements. So I'm a military brat. My father was in the military. And at one time, it used to be it was free. It was, you retire, you get everything for free. Even when I even go to conversation with my mom and comparing of just the cost of things inside the commissary versus things that are outside. And there was a big difference. Now there's a difference, but not as big of a difference. But when you retire, you expect to pay for your medical, expect to pay for your dental, expect to pay for your insurance, your life insurance. When we talk about medical, I would say military medical is basically, I don't want to say substandard, but I'm saying it's not the best. It's like socialized medicine, and you get what you pay for. And over the years, the VA hospital has taken a lot of hits for their poor performance of veterans. So it's not going to be the top-notch medical treatment. It's probably more like your county stuff, where the county hospitals not very, like a veteran, very good, I would say. You might be saying, why are you talking bad about these things, about the military? Why'd you join? The bottom line is that when you join the military and they're saying that you can get medical, and you can get dental, and get life insurance, you're always going to compare it to what you know. What you know is the civilian sector. And so you're going to take what you know about medical and dental and for the civilian sector, and you're going to overlay it with the military. But I believe that's where you can go wrong. That's where you're led astray, because it isn't the same. Medical, the main reason it's not the same because there's something called malpractice. Medical malpractice means that if a doctor makes a mistake or it have a misdiagnosis, doesn't make it wrong, and that can cost you. They have malpractice insurance, right? You can sue your doctor. You can sue the hospital for wrongful death of a loved one, for inappropriate medical care. Just by that standard, you can expect the standard of care, level of care, to be heightened. But it's not so with the military. Remember the four nasties? The Ferris Doctrine leading the way, then the civilian courts, which supports the military regardless. Then there's your congressional leaders who basically passes the laws which prevents the military enlisted person from, or even, for lack of a better term, military personnel from holding the military accountable. So when there's no accountability, what do you think the quality of care is going to be? The Ferris Doctrine was made of three 3 cases. And all of them, 2 of them were medical related. Whereas if what happened to them soldiers in the civilian sector, they would have had standing to bring a legal civilian suit against the doctors in the hospitals. But not so far with the military or even the Department of Defense. When there's no accountability, what do you think the standard of care it will be? I would say next to nothing. Dental's the same thing. You got to pay for it. You pay for what you get. Even some jobs, their medical insurance isn't the best. It's just not. But with the military, a lot of times you're going to have to pay into a TRICARE, and then not everybody takes that, so you have to find a doctor that will take that type of payment from medical insurance. When we're looking at military retirement, you're looking at these factors, right? You got to ask yourself, what is the quality of care that I will be receiving? Are they going to diagnose something and just slowly just wind me down until they pass away? Or are they really going to try to fix it? I mean, if you go to the VA hospital, it's just their standard care isn't there. And unfortunately, that's how it is. I wouldn't go to Madigan. I would not. Don't take me to Madigan. Don't take me to that place. Both my parents died there. Then we talk about the insurance they give to you. It's term, but it turns into annual renewable term after 5 years. What does that mean? And it's going to be cheaper with term, but then as you get older, it's going to get more expensive. So finally, by the time that term runs out, it's going to become annual. That means every year it's going to go up. The price of it that you got to pay is going to go up. That's the insurance that you can get. It's better to just get your own term life insurance outside of the military and keep it for a long period of time. Because what's going to happen is that with the military that you get from the Department of Defense, it starts out good because it's going to be cheap, but then it's going to triple and quadruple in price. So eventually you cannot afford it, or you get whole life, which is just as bad. So the benefit of retiring with full medical benefits is clouded based on the quality of the medical and dental and the life insurance, based on longevity and the guarantees. Yes, at one point in time, when you retire in the military, you get full benefits. You get commissary privileges, you get all of that. Now you have to pay for it. Is it really a benefit that you have to pay for? People may argue it's probably cheaper, or there's some loopholes, or you can go to your own doctor. I have it. I can go to VA and get me a doctor, but I will not go there. I will not go there. I would say basically making the connections is that as a military child, I saw the benefits where it was free. Then I also saw that my dad didn't have the life insurance, mainly because for the military, which would have had a lot amount to receive his benefits, had he retired. It should have just went to her automatically. But no, you had to pay into it to be able to insurance policy so that it will continue on the benefits. So when a person dies, when the service member dies, the benefit stops for the spouse and their families. Yes, there's certain things that they can have, there's certain things they can go to the VA to get, but it's not going to be, or they can get their Social Security, but it's not going to be the same. Once again, it's an example of what the military takes care of their needs first. They offer these things as a lure to get people to come in. If you're not worried about quality, if you're not worried about longevity, if you're not worried about whether or not they're going to follow through on it, if you're not worried about if you got to pay into it, then it's okay. It's good for you. But when you're factoring everything in, doesn't it make sense to look at all the evidence to decide whether or not this military career, I don't want to call it a career, option, is viable for you? So as you look at things, I would say the medical for me was, when I went in for my knees, they did this experimental surgery on me. They drilled into my kneecap to build up collagen, right? It was something that they were trying to do. It was experimental. I said, okay, whatever. I just knew I just needed to have something on my record to show that I had issues that was created by the military. I had gotten out almost 10 years, I don't know, 15 years. This thing kept popping out of my knee. It was like, it'd be floating. There's something that was floating around in my knee. And it would like prevent my knee from bending until I popped it out, until I moved that little object in my back of my knee out of the way. Then I get free movement. Meant to get to the problem where I had to get it taken out. I went to a civilian doctor, my orthopedic, doctor that I had, and they went in and they removed it. And it was funny though, because when they removed it, this thing was just floating around in there. It was like a rock. It was calcium. I would say it's probably about this. When the doctor showed it to me, he had it in a cup and it was clinking around, clinking like a little rock in there. It was about the size of maybe I would say almost a 50-cent piece, and probably about the width of I don't know, a good rock, a piece of concrete. That was in my knee. And then when they told him what happened or why it happened, he said, yeah, that was some military saying that was just some low level thing, that experimental basically. Never gotten the care I needed. They tried their best, but a lot of the doctors they have in the military are just trying to get their college tuition paid for. They're trying to get their reps in, get their experiment in, get their experience in. You're just an option. You're just there as a piece of meat on a slab from then to work on. Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's probably some decent doctors out there, but for the most part, the doctors that you have, and you're an enlisted person, they're not gonna care for you that much. They're gonna do what they gotta do to get you back up and going again, but nothing long term. So that's my connection to the medical and dental and then life insurance things. So I never bought into the retirement from the military, and that was never an option for me because I knew what happened to my father. But my main goal was just to get my education. That was my main goal. And how did I end up doing 9 years? Only because I originally went in for 3 years. And after my AIT and my basic training, I was on the downside. I had 2.5 years left. I figure, about 2.5 years left. And I could have gotten out, but didn't. I didn't have good people around me. Most people didn't know any better. Come from a military family. It was just what you did. You were doing what families does. But I didn't have anyone telling me. But I think that when I went to my father's funeral, I'm talking about this now, I'm progressing here, was because it had the school that I wanted to attend, which is a community college in my community. If it was open when I was on leave, I think my dad, I'm not sure. I never did go back, so I guess I wasn't committed the day I went there. It had been open. I sat down with them and I got the insight and get a scoop, got all the information. I would never have enlisted. I would never have enlisted. Re-enlisted, for example. I would never have re-enlisted. I would have just gotten out and did my time. But then when we had this conversation, then I would have had experience with my friend, which brings me here for 30 years later, looking at what's been illuminated for me, and then I'm sharing it with you. So while I think I can look at the military as being a negative in my life, it really had a purpose. And its purpose is this and here and now. Like I said before, a lot of things I didn't know about. And I would talk along a young person to check things out. High school, check things out, figure things out, ask questions, take a chance for yourself. Because as you take each step, and you keep moving forward, you're going to keep connecting the dots. You're going to keep meeting new contact, new information, and eventually you're going to get where you want to get to. So, it took me almost 15 years to achieve what I could achieve 3 years after I graduated high school. I don't know if that was good use of my time. And I never really gotten footing in as well. And I think a lot of times when the military isn't really about stability, it's about movement and keeping you off track where you can't become stable. It's all about destabilizing the family unit. Like I said before, for some reason, they kept trying to get me to the East Coast where I'm from the West Coast. So, make a long story short, that's kind of it. So, the benefits is only as good as the outcome. You got to know what you want and how you plan to get it, right? A lot of jobs have medical and dental benefits, but the better jobs have better benefits. The jobs that are lesser, even though they may have these benefits, it may not be as quality as if you went with a major corporation and you were a upper management. Okay. So I'm going to turn the lights off on this medical, dental, life insurance benefits as it applies to the military retirement. And then I'm going to turn my lights on later on to episode 19, recapping the introduction, recapping my first season, and introducing the Washington National Guard as a case study. The quality of medical care, even while you're in, okay, has to be looked at. Are you getting what you think you're getting?